The American Diner. Chrome counters gleaming under neon lights. Endless coffee refills. Slices of pie spinning slowly under glass domes. Red vinyl booths where families have gathered for generations. It is the quintessential symbol of American hospitality, a place where strangers become regulars, and waitresses remember your name. Sounds lovely, does it not? But beneath those checkered floors and faded Coca-Cola signs, some of these roadside institutions hold secrets that locals refuse to discuss until the sun goes down. We are talking about diners where staff members refuse to work alone after closing time, where customers have been served by waitresses who died decades ago, where 4 teenagers vanished one November night in 1978 and no one was ever arrested. These are not urban legends invented to scare tourists. These are documented phenomena backed by police reports, eyewitness testimony, and in some cases, unsolved FBI case files that remain open to this day. 15 diners across America that locals warn you never to enter after dark. If you find this fascinating, make sure you are subscribed. Now, let us begin. Number 15. We start our countdown in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with the Moonlight Diner. Built in the 1950s, this establishment looks exactly like what you imagine when someone mentions classic Americana. Chrome fixtures, neon signs buzzing in the night air, booths where generations of Floridians have eaten burgers and milkshakes. But staff members tell a different story about what happens after the dinner rush ends. Workers report strange figures appearing and disappearing near the restroom area. Cold spots materialize without explanation in the middle of summer. A faint smell of men's cologne drifts through the dining room when no one wearing cologne is present. Local legend traces these disturbances to a former employee who passed away tragically in the 1970s. Many believe his spirit never clocked out. Dishes clatter in empty kitchens. Shadows move between the booths when the lights are dimmed. Regulars still dine there, but not alone, and never after dark. Cold spots and phantom cologne are unsettling enough. But what about a diner where a single chair has reportedly killed at least 3 people? Number 14. In New Jersey stands the Old Canal Inn. It was established in 1934 as JoJo's Tavern before being renamed in 1948. Inside this unremarkable-looking establishment sits one of the most infamous pieces of furniture in American history. They call it the death chair. It is roped off from public use. No one has been permitted to sit in it for decades. The legend begins with 2 men who fought over this exact seat. Both men died of heart attacks within 10 days of that argument. In 1964, 2 more men sat in the chair on separate occasions. Both were dead within 3 days of each other. At least 3 documented deaths have been linked to this single piece of wooden furniture. The chair remains in the diner to this day, roped off, never moved, never destroyed. Staff members refuse to touch it. A cursed chair is one thing. But at this next diner, it is not just objects that are dangerous. It is what emerges from the basement after midnight. Number 13. Spanky's Diner sits in Messina, New York, in the heart of the Adirondack Mountains. It holds the reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the entire region. The owner has documented encounters with a presence that passes by when working alone in the basement. Radios turn themselves on. Lights flicker with no electrical explanation. Stove knobs rotate to the on position when no living hand has touched them. Guests dining in the booths have reported seeing orbs with faces drifting between the tables. One customer discovered their shoelaces had been tied together while they were eating their meal. Local ghost hunters have identified at least 2 distinct spirits. A young girl who drowned in the nearby Grass River is said to walk the aisles. An elderly man with an injured hip reportedly limps through the dining room at closing time. There is one critical detail about this location. Spanky's Diner sits directly adjacent to Pine Grove Cemetery. The spirits do not have far to travel. Proximity to a cemetery explains some hauntings. But what if a diner is built directly on top of the site where Ohio's first serial killer murdered his victims? Number 12. In a suburb of Toledo, Ohio, there once stood a place called Olive's Diner. Its connection to horror runs deeper than the foundation. Historical records link this location to Return Ward. He is documented as Ohio's first serial killer. Ward murdered multiple wives during his lifetime, including his third wife, Olive. Workers, patrons, and even passers-by looking through the window have reported seeing the same figure, a phantom woman dressed entirely in white. She appears in the glass. She stands in corners. She watches. In 2018, a YouTube documentary featured local paranormal investigators who captured footage of unexplained activity at this location. Later research clarified that the actual murder may not have occurred on this exact spot, but the sightings continue regardless, as if Olive does not care about historical technicalities. A murdered woman's spirit haunting her final resting place follows a certain logic. But at this next location in Houston, the dead do not just watch you, they throw things at you. Number 11. Yale Street Grill in Houston, Texas may be the oldest dining establishment in the city. It dates back to 1923 when it operated as a pharmacy with a soda fountain. Today, it serves as a diner with an adjoining antique shop. The owners, Tom and Linda Lovejoy, have documented repeated incidents over the past decade that defy rational explanation. Each morning, they would find items sitting in the middle of the floor, usually toys. No one had entered the building after hours. The doors remained locked. The windows remained sealed. Then came the incident that changed everything. Staff members witnessed poltergeist activity firsthand. A glass flower lifted itself out of a vase. It rose nearly a foot into the air while multiple witnesses watched. Then it shattered on the floor. Both owners observed this simultaneously. An apparition has been spotted near the old apothecary counter. Witnesses describe a middle-aged man wearing a white shirt and black pants. He appears, then vanishes. The children of waitstaff fled the building screaming after encountering what they described as a mean man in the back storage area. The ghost does not like children, or perhaps he likes them too much. Poltergeist activity is terrifying, but survivable. The next diner on our list involves something far worse. It is the site of a massacre that destroyed an entire restaurant chain. Number 10. Brown's Chicken in Palatine, Illinois. No longer exists. The building was demolished in 2001. But what happened there on January 8, 1993, remains seared into American memory. 7 people were gunned down during a closing time robbery. The victims included owners Richard and Lynn Ellenfeld, aged 50 and 49 respectively. 5 employees ranging from 16 to 46 years old died alongside them. Bodies were found piled in the walk-in freezer. Some had been shot. One had been brutally stabbed. The killers stole less than $2,000. The case went unsolved for 9 years. It became one of Chicagoland's most mystifying cold cases. Detectives followed thousands of leads. All went nowhere. The break finally came in 2002. An ex-girlfriend came forward with information. DNA extracted from a chicken bone that had been preserved in an evidence freezer matched one of the suspects. Juan Luna and James Degorski are now serving life sentences. The building was demolished. A bank now stands on the site. But the franchise itself never recovered. Sales dropped 35%. Over 100 restaurants across the country closed permanently. Some crimes destroy more than lives. They destroy entire institutions. The Brown's Chicken Massacre was eventually solved. But the next diner murder remains open to this day, and the detectives who investigated it still dream about it 45 years later. Number 9. The Burger Chef in Speedway, Indiana was demolished in 2023. Family members of the victims attended the demolition. They had waited nearly half a century for that moment. On November 17, 1978, 4 young employees vanished from the restaurant at closing time. Jane Freet was the assistant manager. She was 20 years old. Ruth Ellen Shelton was 17. Daniel Davis was 16. Mark Flemons was 16. An off-duty coworker arrived after midnight and found the restaurant empty. The back door stood ajar. The safe had been opened. 4 purses sat abandoned where their owners had left them. The initial police response was catastrophic. Officers assumed the employees had stolen the cash and gone to a party. The restaurant was cleaned and reopened the next morning. No fingerprints were taken, no photographs were made. 2 days later, all 4 bodies were discovered in a field in Johnson County. Jane Freet had been stabbed twice. The knife blade broke off inside her chest. Mark Flemons had been bludgeoned with a heavy chain. He choked on his own blood. Lead investigator Sergeant Stoney Vann worked the case from 1998 until his retirement in 2018. He gave an interview before he died. His words still echo. "This is the type of case I will take to my grave." Suspects were identified but never prosecuted. The lack of physical evidence from that first night made conviction impossible. 12 people who worked that restaurant have spent 45 years wondering what happened to their friends. The families have spent 45 years waiting for justice that never came. Every time you go by, you think of Jane. That building should have come down immediately. The Burger Chef murders haunt investigators to this day. But while that crime eventually went cold, the diner we are about to visit has been actively haunted since 1930. And the ghost is watching you from room 403. Number 8. The Landmark Inn stands in downtown Marquette, Michigan. The building has operated continuously since 1930. It functions as a hotel with a ground floor pub that locals have frequented for nearly a century. The Upper Peninsula location means long, dark winters. Snow piles against the windows from November through April. Perfect conditions for ghost stories to take root. Room 403 is notorious. Guests report furniture moving on its own. Temperature drops occur without explanation. Many describe the sensation of a presence watching them as they try to sleep. The PUB area below has its own collection of tales. Glasses slide across the bar when no one has touched them. Beer taps turn themselves on during closing procedures. Footsteps echo through the upstairs hallway when every guest is accounted for downstairs. Staff members refuse to close alone. The pub where locals gather year-round has company they never invited. A haunted hotel pub is one thing, but what about a restaurant where the waitress who serves you has been dead since the 1930s? Number 7. Ashley's Tavern in Rockledge, Florida has been rated America's most haunted restaurant by multiple independent studies. Over 800,000 online search results are dedicated to documenting the paranormal activity at this single location. The most famous ghost is Ethel Allen. She was 19 years old when she frequented this tavern in the early 1930s. Then she was murdered. Her body was found mutilated and burned on the bank of the nearby Indian River. Investigators identified her by a tattoo on her thigh, a rose with a noose around it. No one was ever arrested for her killing. A 1982 newspaper article quoted a former manager who witnessed something impossible. He saw a pair of boots beneath a bathroom stall door, old-fashioned boots from the turn of the century. When he checked the stall, it was empty. The water basin in that restroom turns on by itself. A young woman appears in the bathroom mirror, then vanishes when customers turn around. In 2023, 2 servers reported being pushed while coming down the staircase. No one was behind them. A paranormal investigator now holds weekly sessions at the restaurant. Thermal imaging cameras have allegedly captured Ethel's figure standing in the hallway. There is a second ghost, a 7-year-old girl last seen in 1940. She wears a blue dress. Witnesses say she appeared on the night her father was arrested and never left. The ghosts here do not just linger, they make contact. Documented ghosts are chilling enough, but at this next location, the entity allegedly watches male guests in their showers, and she is particularly interested in professional basketball players. Number 6. The Skirvin Hotel in Oklahoma City is the oldest hotel in the city. It opened in 1911, with a restaurant on the ground floor that still operates today. The legend centers on a woman named Effie. She was a maid who allegedly had an affair with the original owner, William Balser Skirvin. When she became pregnant, Skirvin reportedly locked her in a room on the 10th floor until she gave birth. Desperate and isolated, Effie jumped to her death from the window. Her ghost now searches the hotel for her baby. She appears to male guests in the shower. Witnesses describe her as aggressive when ignored. She makes her presence unmistakably known. NBA teams have specifically reported incidents during stays at the Skirvin. Multiple players across different franchises have documented encounters. Some players now refuse to stay there entirely when their teams visit Oklahoma City. A $46.4 million renovation did nothing to stop the activity. A female spirit also appears in the Red Piano Bar on the ground floor. She approaches men, she speaks to them, then she vanishes. The haunted restaurant below serves your meal. The ghost above serves warnings. A ghost with romantic fixations is disturbing. But the next location involves something far darker. Tunnels beneath the floor were once used to traffic human beings. Number 5. Rockefeller's restaurant sits inside the Daniel Low Building in Salem, Massachusetts. The building was originally owned by Salem's First Church. When the current owners opened the restaurant in 2003, they had no idea what they had inherited. Two ghosts appear with what investigators describe as great frequency. They manifest in full visible form. The first is a man dressed in a black suit. He appears dressed like a minister from centuries past. The second is a woman in an early 20th century blue dress. Staff have named her the Blue Lady. Beneath the building lies a network of tunnels. These passages were originally used by smugglers evading customs officials. Later, they became a crucial part of the Underground Railroad. Abolitionists guided escaped slaves through these stone corridors toward freedom. Many who fled through these tunnels never made it to safety. Some died within yards of liberation. The tunnels are believed to be the source of some of the hauntings. Those who died seeking freedom never found it. Their spirits remain trapped beneath the floorboards of a restaurant in a town famous for its own history with the supernatural. Guests report being watched from empty corners. Glasses move across tables without being touched. Cold spots appear and disappear throughout the dining room. Salem has always been a place where the dead refuse to stay dead. Underground tunnels with tragic histories create their own hauntings. But what happens when a diner sits at the intersection of an ancient tribal massacre and an abandoned ghost town? Number 4. Apache Death Cave sits 23 miles northwest of Winslow, Arizona, just off Interstate 40. It is part of Two Guns, an abandoned ghost town along the original Route 66 alignment. Death Cave. In 1878, Apache raiders attacked a Navajo encampment. They kidnapped 3 young Navajo girls and fled into a cavern to hide. The Navajo retaliation was swift and absolute. Warriors tracked the raiders to the cave and set the entire encampment inside on fire. Over 40 people burned alive within those stone walls. No Apache ever returned to that cave. They declared it cursed land. The Navajo warned all travelers to avoid the area. Pioneers ignored these warnings. They built cabins nearby. Residents reported hearing ghostly moans drifting from the cave mouth. Phantom footsteps echoed through the night. None of them stayed long. In the 1920s, an entrepreneur built a roadside attraction on the site. Tourists paid money to walk through the bone-littered cavern where 40 people had died screaming. Today, Two Guns is completely abandoned. Graffiti covers the old gas station. The fuel pumps stand dry and rusted. An empty swimming pool collects tumbleweeds. Route 66 crumbles into the desert. But visitors still hear screaming from within the cave. Some places are cursed by what happened there. This place was cursed before America was even born. A massacre site from 1878 carries undeniable weight. But the next location involves something that happened within living memory. And the ghostly footsteps still circle visitors at night. Number 3. The High Noon Restaurant and Saloon occupies a building in Albuquerque's Old Town district that dates to 1785. That is 40 years before Route 66 even existed, nearly a decade before George Washington became president. The structure served as a brothel and casino for generations, before being converted into a restaurant serving steaks and southwestern cuisine. The lady in white dress appears in the Santos room with disturbing regularity. Staff have photographed empty chairs where witnesses swore a woman in white had been sitting moments before. Bartenders have witnessed glasses sliding across the polished wooden bar without explanation. Some glasses have floated in midair before shattering on the floor. Managing partner Carla Villa has documented encounters spanning decades. Unexplained smells materialize from nowhere. Disembodied voices whisper in empty hallways. Unseen entities tap on the feet of diners sitting in certain booths. Paranormal investigation teams have captured electronic voice phenomena recordings within these walls. Strange voices answering questions that no living person asked. When a building is 240 years old, it has accumulated more ghosts than anyone can count. A building from 1785 with floating glasses is spectacular. But our second entry involves something more intimate. A ghost who watches you sleep and repairs the wallpaper while you dream. Number 2. The Inn at 835 stands on Route 66 in Springfield, Illinois. It was built in 1909 as luxury apartments by a businesswoman named Belle Miller. Today, it operates as a bed and breakfast hotel with a dining room that serves guests each morning. Belle Miller died in this building. She never left. Staff members spot her in the corner of their vision. When they turn to look directly at her, she vanishes. Books are removed from shelves and left in the middle of rooms overnight. The same book. Repeatedly. A candy dish rattles without being touched. Investigators believe Belle is searching for her favorite sweets. The most remarkable incident involves a wallpaper repair. In one of the guest rooms, wallpaper began peeling away from the wall. The owners noted it and scheduled repairs for the following week. The next morning, the wallpaper had been fixed, perfectly smoothed against the wall. No repair person had entered the building. It seems Belle is always on the job. The inn has been named one of the top 12 inns in the country by travel publications. Staff report feeling watched constantly, but they also report feeling protected. Ghosts are not all malevolent. Some just refuse to stop working. A ghost who repairs wallpaper seems almost comforting. But our final entry involves a diner where the murdered waitress still takes orders, and dead managers return to supervise the living staff. Number 1. The Anchorage Tavern has operated in Somers Point, New Jersey since the 1800s. It is a historic shore establishment where generations of families have gathered for meals and celebrations. What happens after dark tells a different story. The front door handle had to be physically removed from the door. It would not stop locking and unlocking itself at random intervals throughout the night. Staff could not explain it. Locksmiths could not explain it. Eventually, they simply removed it. Workers report that deceased former managers appear during shifts to give instructions. Employees have been halfway through cleaning the bathrooms before realizing they were taking orders from someone who died years ago. The figure gives directions. The worker follows them. Then, the figure vanishes. Glasses fall from shelves and shatter on the floor when no one is nearby. Windows crack and break with no impact. Witnesses have reported being physically locked in storage closets by unseen hands. One entity is particularly aggressive toward women. Female staff members have reported being touched, pushed, and followed through the building. Locals know the rules when it comes to this diner. Never go alone. Never stay past midnight. Never ignore what you hear. Former employees refuse to return to the building even during daylight hours. They cross that threshold once. They will not cross it again. At this diner, the dead do not just watch, they manage. And if you are ever driving along the New Jersey shore after dark and you see a diner's light still glowing through the fog, you might want to keep driving. And if you like this video, please subscribe. Make sure to watch the next video appearing on the screen.